Hi! Today, I've put together a killer lineup of new, insanely atmospheric third-person games. Almost all the titles on this list are already out, so you can jump right into them, and for dessert, I've saved 4 upcoming releases that you simply can't miss. So grab some snacks, I'm diving in. I want to start with Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. Sometimes we all just want to say screw it and sail away to the Caribbean. And in July 2026, Ubisoft gave us that chance by dropping a full-blown remake of the legendary Black Flag. Forget the word remaster right off the bat. The game was rebuilt from the ground up on the modern Anvil engine. No recycled code, just brand new models, stunning lighting, and an endless, mesmerizing ocean. The devs intentionally stepped away from the bloated RPG mechanics of recent entries, bringing the focus back to classic action-adventure. Parkour is smoother, stealth is smarter, and naval combat feels like you're actually at the helm. By the way, for you immersion junkies, they added a highly customizable UI. You can turn off all the hints completely and navigate using only the stars and your compass. Hell is Us. If you're tired of games that hold your hand and highlight every single quest item, Hell is Us is your ticket into the unknown. The game came out in September 2025 and immediately caught everyone's attention with its thick, dark, and mysterious atmosphere. It takes place in an isolated country torn apart by civil war and an invasion of terrifying chimeras that are immune to regular weapons. There's no map, no compass, and no on-screen markers here. You literally have to listen to NPCs, memorize landmarks, and explore this world on your own. The combat system requires timing and tactics, and every encounter with monsters will get your heart racing. It's a real test for anyone who loves an atmosphere of mystery and survival. Gothic 1 Remake. The return of a legend that we truly deserve. June 2026 brought us the long-awaited release of the first Gothic remake. The Valley of Mines has never looked so dark, gritty, and realistic. The barrier crackles overhead, and every NPC you meet is ready to either scam you or leave you as scavenger bait. The devs at Alchemia Interactive carefully carried over that exact, indescribable vibe of the original. Just like before, you start the game as an absolute nobody with 0 skills and not even a minimap. There's no level scaling here. Walk into the wrong forest and you better run if you even can. The world plays by its own rules, and it's exactly this brutal, unforgiving atmosphere that makes you believe this place is real. .007 First Light. From the creators of Hitman, this is the best thing to happen to James Bond games in the last decade. We play as a young, 26-year-old Bond who is just paving his way to legendary status and his license to kill. It's an origin story packed with spy aesthetics and elegant action. The game gives you a choice. You can go in guns blazing in open shootouts, or use your charisma, bluffing, and gadgets to gracefully finesse your way out of a situation. Your main tool is a modified Omega watch capable of hacking electronics. The vibe of a high-budget spy thriller is nailed perfectly here. Sharp suits and covert ops. Crimson Desert. Many were expecting just a pretty grindfest from the Korean studio Pearl Abyss, but in March, they dropped a massive single-player adventure that shattered the charts. Crimson Desert is a monumental action game set in a harsh fantasy world where every step brings either a picturesque landscape or a bloody brawl. The atmosphere here is heavy and grounded. You feel the weight of every strike, and the combat animations look like they were choreographed by Hollywood stuntmen. The game world is massive and incredibly detailed, from snow-capped peaks to muddy, realistic medieval villages. It's a journey you'll want to get lost in for hundreds of hours. Cronos, The New Dawn. The Polish crew over at Bloober Team really knows their way around a horror game, and this release is living proof of that. The New Dawn is a brutal survival horror where you travel between the terrifying wastelands of the future and a bleak 1980s Poland. You play as a traveler who extracts the souls of the living and burns down monsters before they can merge together. The atmosphere literally messes with your head. Oppressive retrofuturism, a constant feeling of anxiety, and a severe lack of resources. If you're into slow burn, atmospheric third-person horrors where every step into the dark takes serious nerve, this project is an absolute must-play. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. You might be wondering, what is a LEGO game doing on this list? But Legacy of the Dark Knight, which dropped in May, proves that even little plastic bricks can be incredibly atmospheric. This is Gotham in all its grim, neon glory, but packed with that signature humor. Rain pounds against plastic capes, shadows grow long in the alleyways, and you glide over the city to an epic soundtrack. The developers managed to perfectly balance Batman's dark aesthetic with fun gameplay. It's the perfect option to wind down after heavy horror games, while still getting a kick out of some seriously cool level design. Pragmata. Capcom made us wait years for this project, but in April, Pragmata finally saw the light of day, and the wait was totally worth it. The setting here will absolutely blow your mind. A lunar research station, a hostile AI, and the terrifying void of space. You play as an astronaut trying to survive alongside a mysterious android girl named Diana. The game's atmosphere is a mix of a sci-fi thriller and a heartwarming story. High-tech suits, weird holographic anomalies, and incredible physics in lunar gravity. It's weird, it's beautiful, and it hooks you from the very first minute. Death Stranding 2, On the Beach. Hideo Kojima is back to melt our brains once again. The game hit consoles in the summer of 2025 and made its way to PC in the spring of 2026. The sequel has gotten even bigger, even weirder, and even more atmospheric. The new landscapes will blow your mind, and the whole concept of human connection is taken to a completely different level of madness here. A meditative journey set to a killer soundtrack quickly shifts into intense encounters with the supernatural. This isn't just a game, it's an audiovisual experience that completely wraps you up in its thick, cinematic atmosphere. Styx, Blades of Greed. The green, cynical, and sneaky as hell goblin Styx is back in business. If you've been craving some pure, old-school stealth where you can't just slaughter the whole map in open combat, this is 100% the pick for you. The dark fantasy vibe literally oozes from every crack. Massive, multi-level environments give you total freedom of action. You're constantly climbing ledges, hiding in the shadows, and using amber magic to outsmart the guards. The game is unforgiving, but that's exactly what makes every successful kill or undetected heist so incredibly satisfying. It's dark, it's dirty, it's tough, and it is highly addictive. Silent Hill F. Forget about the foggy streets of your usual American town. This installment takes us to 1960s Japan, and the atmosphere here is drenched in a completely different aesthetic, yet spine-chilling horror. Instead of rust and blood, you get beautiful but deadly flowers and mold consuming everything in sight. The psychological pressure builds with every passing minute, and Japanese folklore adds an insane and terrifying flavor to the whole thing. The visual style heavily contrasts with the dark, oppressive plot. It's a very unconventional Silent Hill, but its haunting, surreal atmosphere will stick with you for a long time. Forsaken Realms: Vahrin's Call. A classic third-person RPG that feels like a return to the genre's roots, but with crisp, modern visuals. You arrive in the city of Vahrin, which is slowly but surely sinking into chaos. There are no endless question marks on the minimap here. The atmosphere is built entirely on exploration. You explore the alleyways yourself, read notes, and dive deep into the problems of local factions. The combat is fairly hardcore, the magic looks flashy, and the world design is dripping with that good old heroic fantasy vibe, where every dark corner hides either treasure or deadly danger. The Legend of Khiimori. Endless steps, the wind howling in your ears, and a trusty horse beneath your saddle. This game offers a completely unique experience, fully immersing you in the atmosphere of nomadic life and Eastern mythology. You instantly feel the scale of this world. There's no dense city sprawl, just wild, untouched nature, weather anomalies, and mysterious ancestral spirits. The hunting, survival elements, and horseback combat are executed at the highest level. It's a very meditative yet intense game, where nature isn't just a backdrop, but the main character. Metal Gear Solid Delta: Snake Eater. A legendary classic is back in a stunning new form. Dense, impenetrable jungles have never looked this realistic and, let's be honest, terrifying. The survival atmosphere in the wild is pushed to the absolute limit here. You have to constantly manage your camo, treat your wounds, hunt for food, and hide from patrols in tall grass or muddy swamps. This is a top-tier spy thriller, where some mud on your face and the right face paint will literally save your life. The feeling of being an elite operative deep behind enemy lines is nailed perfectly. Morbid Metal. If you're looking for pure adrenaline and action, welcome aboard. This is an explosive roguelite action game where you can swap between 4 different characters on the fly, right in the middle of a combo. The setting is a grim, high-tech future. You're shredding through hordes of enemies in stunningly beautiful environments to an unbelievably sick soundtrack. The game's vibe relies on crazy momentum and a sense of rhythm. Bright neon flashes, sparks flying from swords hitting metal, and relentless gameplay won't let you get bored for even a second. Echoes of the End, Enhanced Edition. This is a true narrative-driven adventure on a Hollywood scale. We play as Rin, a warrior with unique abilities traveling through a drop-dead gorgeous fantasy world. The game hooks you from the very first minute with its cinematic feel. The locations look hyper-realistic, and the facial animations make you believe every single emotion the characters show. The atmosphere of ancient secrets, forgotten civilizations, and magic blends perfectly with heavy, close-quarters combat. It's like playing an interactive blockbuster where you set the pacing yourself. South of Midnight. Easily one of the most stylish projects in today's lineup. The game is packed to the brim with the vibe of the American South, murky swamps, voodoo magic, and dark fairy tales. The animation is done in a unique style that looks just like stop motion. The main heroine uses weaving magic to repair a broken world and fight terrifying mythical creatures. Bluesy tracks in the score and a thick, almost tangible sense of mysticism create the mood of a true dark fantasy with a unique southern flair. Blades of Fire. If you're a fan of fast-paced combat and Eastern aesthetics, this game is a must-have for your library. The on-screen action here is just off the charts. The vibe is completely drenched in martial arts and ancient mysticism. You combine melee strikes with devastating magic, tearing through crowds of enemies like an absolute whirlwind. Every location is a small piece of art with refined design, and boss fights turn into epic, high-tension duels where reflexes and timing are everything. The first Berserker, Khazan, a brutal, bloody, and incredibly stylish action RPG. If you love overcoming insane odds and memorizing enemy patterns, you are in the right place. The game stands out with its harsh, gritty atmosphere and a gorgeous visual style that looks like a dark comic book come to life. The main character is an exiled general literally hacking his way to revenge through snowy mountains and hordes of enemies. Every hit here feels heavy and lethal. It's a dark, mature story where the cruelty of the world is perfectly matched by its unforgiving gameplay. Mortal Shell 2. The first game was a fantastic, though somewhat contained Souls-like, but the sequel promises to take that concept to a whole new level. The developers are betting big on a massive, interconnected world that's actually fun to explore without constantly bumping into invisible walls. We're still finding and taking control of the shells of fallen warriors to use their unique skills, but they promise the gameplay is going to be way faster, more aggressive, and a lot more responsive. The boldest move from the devs, though, is completely ditching the traditional stamina bar. You can string together attacks, dodges, and special moves as long and as fast as your own reflexes allow. This completely changes the pacing of combat. The Sinking City 2. The sequel takes us to a flooded 1920s Arkham, and it looks absolutely terrifying. The studio has completely shifted gears. While the first game leaned heavily into detective work, the sequel is a pure, unapologetic survival horror. Mistakes here will cost you dearly, and you're always strapped for ammo. The water levels in the streets will constantly change as you progress through the story, opening up new routes or hiding valuable resources underneath. You'll constantly have to make the call, go toe-to-toe with otherworldly monstrosities, or try to quietly slip by. Beast of Reincarnation. What we have here is a completely unique action RPG about surviving in a brutal, ruined Japan. We play as an outcast girl named Emma, who can control plants, and she's joined on her journey and in combat by her trusty infected dog. The combat system here is complex, technical, and highly dynamic. You'll be fighting massive mutants and crazed machines, adapting your tactics to each enemy and smartly utilizing your four-legged companion. A Plague Tale Legacy. The beloved A Plague Tale series is making a comeback, but this time we're getting a prequel. The events take place 15 years before the story of the first game, and a smuggler named Sophia steps up as the main protagonist. The gameplay has seen a major overhaul. While the previous games relied heavily on stealth, Sophia is a seasoned fighter. We now have full-fledged parries and spectacular, brutal melee executions. But the most intriguing new feature is the dual timeline mechanic. Story-wise, we'll be able to switch between the Middle Ages and the ancient Minoan era. What you do in the distant past directly impacts the locations and events in the present. So there you have it. I hope you spotted a couple of awesome projects you can completely lose yourself in for the next few weeks. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.